This meeting at 9:15:16. I just start with an apology to my colleagues, to the public, to the Beehners. I misread the agenda last night. I guess I was looking at Wednesday. All right, we are here for now make sure I'm reading it correctly, to discuss the surveyor scope of work and contract. And I will turn it over to Mrs. Beehner.
All right, well, I'll start out with the scope of work stuff. Most of this was brought up because, again, we're pretty much through the season, and nothing's taken place. And the meeting in February, I was very hopeful that something would have taken place by now. But so anyway, I'm just back here to say, hey, the squeaky wheel at some point might get oiled. So the first thing that I have, actually, I'll be getting to those. So you guys have something to look at, but I have the contract for professional services that Stratton signed in August of 2022. It was approved, I believe, in a May meeting as a draft with legal to review, and then it was signed in August. So it lists out what and who Stratton works for, and it's got plat review plats that have been submitted to the county, so that's kind of through P&Z. Consulting is providing professional consulting as may be requested by the Board of County Commissioners or the Planning Director. And then projects, which is what I'm here to talk to you about now, is professional land surveying. It says individual projects collectively that called the project are procured under this contract. Will start with a request from the county for a project. Stratton will give them a specific scope of service, time frame, and a not to exceed estimate. So that is his service agreement that he's under now. The first page that I have that you got a copy of is his actual project estimate, is what the previous BOCC had requested that the then prosecuting attorney send out requests for bids. She ended up getting 2 bids to do all of the encroachment issues stuff, and mainly pick up where Alta had left off. The county had contracted with Alta to do a survey, and they got 80% through it, and then their surveying person left them and everything stalled again. So this was kind of just a way to wrap stuff up. And you can see that the scope of work is to locate monuments necessary to determine the right-of-way of Brookside Avenue, find or set monuments at corners, angle points, and points of curvature to monument right-of-way, and record the survey with the county. They anticipate the survey work will be completed by late spring of 2022. So we're obviously a little past that. And their estimate was for $8,000 to finish that up. In between Stratton and Alta, the commissioners tried to, they got HMH involved and had them go out and just off of Alta's survey, because there was, Alta had a pretty good survey. It was never recorded. There were 2 legal descriptions made and 2 maps made that I found in a public records request in the prosecuting attorney's office that pertained back to a petition by an individual to vacate a section of road. So the county had paid over $12,000 for an individual to try to vacate a road to get 2 legal descriptions, one for the part they wanted vacated and one for the snow shed snow storage, area that they would swap their land off for getting the road vacated. All of this was taking place well before a public hearing ever took place on the vacate. So again, part of my public records request and things being handled behind doors, which, is why I'm here. I would like things to be open and transparent for a change. With Stratton, so HMH came in, the commissioners wanted to do an in-field meeting Probably, was Dan there? Dan Martinson? I don't think he was. Public Works was, at the time, Jim Kaysen, Jessica Stephanie did the walkthrough. A person from HMH was there. The paper was there. Matt and I were there. The commissioners were there. Lori Teeters and I think one other person. All HMH did was go out and put some wooden stakes in the ground so the commissioners could see kind of, you know, like, where is this alley? Where is this road? Sort of thing.
That was after the public hearing, then.
Yeah, this was after that. The road was not being vacated, so they wanted to see where the encroachments were. So anyway, HMH was in there in between Alta and Stratton. So when Stratton sent out his paperwork to, I believe, the county and also landowners in the area to let them know that they would be out surveying, this map came. I didn't give you guys a copy of it because it doesn't really show anything other than these were the areas that they were concerned with. It does say subject area for Brookside Avenue. And the only reason I bring that up is because the infamous May 25th, 2022 meeting where the commissioners, you know, we had to go back and get minutes created or redone and listen to recordings and do all of that stuff because the minutes did not reflect what took place at the meeting. Those commissioners had said that when the prosecuting attorney sent it out to determine the right of way of Brookside Avenue, they just really meant all of that area. They were just going to call it Brookside Avenue. So, and again, the reason I point that out is because I have emails from Stratton who even said this kept being a moving target. He was working with the then commissioners, mostly Mike Fitzgerald. It went from what he thought was doing Brookside Avenue, which has like maybe 2% of the encroachment issues that were put out there and would have, you know, resulted in absolutely nothing being accomplished, to evolving to this Alta map that's colored that at first Mike Fitzgerald and Jim Kaysen wrote in the little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the little numbers that are circled, those little that are numbered. That is what Jim Kaysen sent to Stratton, that Mike Fitzgerald wanted those points identified. At that point, you know, I had met with the commissioners and said, you know, this isn't going to show what everything's that's doing the encroachment kind of stuff. Again, it's only identifying where the county's new East Street was supposed to be, and then the back line of Brookside, which, I mean, I'm fine if they wanted to figure out where Brookside Avenue was, because it gives me a point of where the new property for the Brookside Development LLCs was. So anyway, time transgresses. Stratton's been out there a little bit. He's been back in. He is doing, well, I had emailed something to him. He said that he was getting ready to wrap things up and had set like these had on his map those 8 points. I met, well, at that time, excuse me, Mike Fitzgerald is getting ready to leave the county. I'm getting stressed out because he's the one that has been handling everything with Stratton. You know, at that point, I'm on my 3rd public roads person because I began this journey where I can show that I kept notes. I began in August of 16, but I actually began before that with the Thomas or Thompson guy that was before Frosty. And so I'm now on Jim Kaysen, and I'm like, you know, enough, we need something down. I met in July with Ben. He facilitated going back and forth in emails between, I believe, Stratton and Fitzgerald, or maybe just the commissioners. I'm not sure. But I met with him. I showed him where my concerns were, which on this map become the green points, become like actual points that need to know where things are, or excuse me, the red points are. The purple ones were just, and there's an email that says the purple ones are just like, hey, can you put some wooden stakes like HMH did so that the commissioners can see where is the site of Tomsky Avenue and this and that. So this map was sent, I sent this to Ben after our meeting with my concerns. He forwarded it and dealt with the commissioners and or Stratton on that side of it, got back to me and said, yes, this is what Stratton said. I've got to send out a couple more property things because the lines went down here further so that I can make sure I can wrap everything up. I said, hunky dory. So that's like, again, July of 2022. So I was excited when, you know, there was, I look on the agenda and there's going to be a meeting with Stratton and the commissioners, and that would be you guys in February. So he had apparently, you know, gotten most everything tied up. Was at that point, so, oh, actually, let me step back because, at this point, again, everything's going back and forth between Stratton and Mike Fitzgerald. Jim Kaysen was not even super involved in it at this point because I believe I emailed Stephanie or Jessica, I'm not sure. And you know, they had no new updates from Stratton or anything else. They did not even know that this map was the work map. So I'm pretty sure you can ask them, but in the summer or late fall of 2022, I brought it around to where the Public Works was involved again in it and made sure that they were CC'd on any emails that I got from Ben or anything, and I got this map down to them and that. So so they were back in the circle because, again, like I said, it was kind of a Stratton Mike Fitzgerald thing. So when I see that you guys are going to be here and that Stratton's coming to present what he's got, we were obviously at that meeting. I left that meeting, you know, like I said, there were questions brought up and discussions done during the meeting. I left the meeting somewhat hopeful that, you know, when snow left, that we were going to finally have something happening because even according to the minutes, it's, you know, Stratton said that he wanted to meet in regards of this survey, that you know, there were a lot of different interpretations in that area. There have, you know, been different surveys. I would like to point out that when we built our house, which is outside of this subdivision, it's on a short plat area. We had our property surveyed and recorded. When we bought within the subdivision for our shop and that, we had our property surveyed and recorded before we built so that we met the setbacks and this kind of stuff. So I realize there's a lot of interpretations out there. I believe on Stratton's map, he says that, you know, somebody measured off of the edge of the railroad and, you know, and he feels that, anyway, there's a lot of interpretation that's going on. Our surveys were done on our main property when the railroad bed was still in there. So.
And that's what the surveyor was tying to, was the railroad.
Was to the railroad, that Stratton was tying to the railroad. So our one with banks on our property was done when the railroad was still there. BLM's was the bed. BLM's was done when the railroad bed was still there. When we did our shop, the railroad bed had been like between 92 and 96. One of the original Silver Valley Natural Resource trustees, one of the original remediating people, had come through and they pulled a lot of the railroad bed out, and you know, there's some sloughed off and there's some that neighbors in that area have just reworked it to make it a flat area for them and this kind of stuff. So it's kind of hit and miss on what you see and don't see for the railroad. But the point of that is like I said, that there were surveys done there. There have been pins put in the ground. He does seem to, you know, tie back to most everything on there. I was disturbed to find that he, you know, like the person that's never had a survey recorded only said he had a survey done. You know, he was taking a lot of information from that person versus maybe necessarily the actual recorded surveys, but that's neither here nor there. The main point is that I left thinking that in February, the motion was to continue on and finish up his map. My assumption was, because this is all tied back to encroachments that were encroachment complaints that were filed, was that you know, the BOCC ordered this survey and that the BOCC would get the map. You guys would then sit at it, start looking at it. You would, probably have questions for Public Works and stuff. I did not assume that this was now becoming a Public Works project takeover kind of thing. And the reason I say that is because, I know that the map has been sent down, and thankfully Jessica gave me a full-size one, because when you try to read off,
Is that the new map?
try to read off of this one, you can't see anything or read the little words, because they all go smudgy together. But this is what I've been told is the map that Stratton has turned in. He does, this is part of the problem on it. He says, only select improvements have been shown on the survey. This survey did not attempt to show all the improvements. This is what the survey was supposed to be for, was to list where things were. So when I got this in the email, well, I emailed Stephanie for a public records request just after the meeting. Can I have a copy of the map to look at? I asked, why is nothing down here on White's property listed on here? And she emailed back that she would pass it on to the commissioners. Again, I figured the commissioners, because you guys were the ones that were in charge of it, would be like, oh yeah, you got to include it. Because in May of 2022, it was going to be, my encroachments pertain down into here too, but they decided in May, everything, including East Street, east to the section line, the encroachments were going to be dealt with, because they didn't want to get into what I believe Mike Fitzgerald referred to as the debacle down here, which, like I said, I'm pretty sure he's referring to the fact that they vacated a road in 2012 and they narrowed a road, which is against Idaho code now. So anyway, I was like, whatever, I will take East Street going this direction, and we can at least get some sort of stuff taken care of, because this is the main area I'm worried about because of our investment and other people's investment here. The fact that this is a kind of a horsey, fieldy area and an elderly lady, now that at some point this is going to be prime for two houses that I'm sure that her family is going to be ready to sell off. And it's like, it only gets worse and worse. And I have the history timeline to show that it only gets worse and worse, because, new encroachments, the encroachments on F Street, that there's 2 sheds and a fence line and something else. I can't remember what else is there, a flower bed. They're not even listed on here. The trees that are part of the encroachment complaint that are running along on Tomshe Avenue are not even shown, like I said. So the purpose of this map was to put the improvements that are in question. And so I'm not sure when or who or how that happened, but you currently have a bill he had a bid for $8,000. You have this map and a bill for $6,000. Nothing's on the ground. There's no way you guys, if you walked out there, could look and see where an encroachment is, other than just, like on here, and those are only select encroachments. And so I just am, I'm mystified, because I asked, so again, we're February. It was about June 6th, I emailed Jessica and I said, hey, what are we doing? I'm still out here. And she said that they were in the process of trying to schedule an appointment. The public records request shows that I emailed Jessica at 9:48 a.m. Stephanie emailed Stratton at 9:49 wanting to know if they could have a personal meeting or a phone meeting. So, I don't want to make it like a little tit for tat thingy and that, but nothing was going on from February until I asked in June. And then it's like, okay, we're going to get a meeting. And I'm hoping that people will at least understand my frustration with, I'm on my 4th public works director. I've spent a lot of money. The county spent a lot of money. Well, not I, the LLC has spent a lot of money. The county has spent a lot of money on surveying, and there's 2 wooden stakes that are left on an alleyway edge, and that's all that you have to show for
$6,000.
No, that's all you have to show for, where's my number? $23,946.56. You have two legal descriptions, two exhibit maps, this map, a map of a F street that HMH made, and two wooden stakes.
No, there could be 3, 4.
Okay, I haven't gone over the bank. There could be 3 or 4, but, and when I say all you have, I mean like all the taxpayers have. And I realize this is getting laid at your feet when you're 6 months into it or 7 months into it versus the years beforehand, but you know, crap rolls downhill. So anyway, you know, wanting to know what's going on, and then find out that there was going to be a meeting with Stratton. I asked to be able to attend the meeting. I even said I would keep my mouth closed, despite what people think. I am capable of that. I just wanted to hear, and the reason I gave that I wanted to hear was that this was all new commissioners. Basically, this was all new Public Works Department. I mean, Jessica and Stephanie were there for HMH's walkthrough, but you know, honestly, I think they were taking some notes or just wandering around with Lori. Ben was still here, and I had one short meeting with him over it, and I was here, who had been involved from the get-go on it. And so, you know, my concern is maybe Jessica or Stephanie's interpretation of what's going on there, or what needs to be done, or what the concerns are in that area, are completely different than what was being done with my encroachments. Neither one of them have ever sat down and spoke to me about like, okay, what's the concern? And like I said, I've always tried to be open. I brought the Public Works right back into the circle because I knew in the end it's roads, and they're going to be involved when the commissioners sit to make a decision. So why is everybody not in the same room? And I was told that, you know, they wanted to have the meeting just themselves involved, apparently including a commissioner and Ben. A commissioner did not attend. I do not know if Ben was at this meeting with Stratton, but after a couple weeks, I sat there and I really kind of got more or less madder because it was like, why is this again? And maybe it's my post-traumatic stress from the previous commissioners and prosecuting attorney in that, but why is this so secret? Why can't you sit in a room and have a conversation with everybody that's involved? It's like the poles that are up there that are supposed to be removed. Commissioners before the last ones, we're going to remove them. Not a problem in that. Then Frosty, yeah, we want to get those off. Tells us they want to get them off. Then he goes and he meets with Avista. Avista later has to move poles on our property and tells us, oh no, we sat down with Frosty and the county and they don't care where those poles are. So this is my problem, is it's like, you know, real hard to lie or to do a shaded truth of something when everybody's sitting there face to face instead of doing it around. So I got annoyed, and I ended up sending another email to Jessica and the commissioners, which got zero response from anyone, which now initiated why I wanted to have this meeting, because it was like, I can't figure out what questions Stratton would have had that Public Works could answer, or what Public Works needed clarified at this point, because he was just supposed to get a map done so the commissioners could see the encroachments. I also didn't know, through public records request, I wanted to know, why did Public Works never contact the commissioners about why White's encroachments were not on this map? That was in February. He very easily could have thrown those. I mean, I'm sure he's got the information if he was out there surveying the other stuff. So I was told that it was going to get passed on to you, and it didn't. I also didn't know why all of a sudden Public Works felt like they were the oversight on these encroachment complaints and stuff, because this is directly the commissioners that would have to decide that. And it was also the commissioners through the prosecuting attorney that had asked for this survey. It wasn't Public Works that was trying to do it. I know that they'll probably end up giving advice and stuff, but again, you know, nobody sat down and talked about what it is to live in there, or asked me to show them the photos of kids on a bike that could have got hit in an intersection, or flying off of my property that I now go all the way. I mean, Tomsky used to only kind of drive like this. I go all the way to the fence line that the Tapmans put up to curve into my property because I mean, we have a lot of pavement. You have an 8-year-old, 10-year-old boy on bikes, you know, I have a gate at the front of our driveway, but they can easily go around it. It's just a gate for the driveway. You see all that pavement. I mean, what normal 8 and 9, 10-year-old boy isn't going to want to race their motorcycles and or bikes around on it. And they come whipping down across the front of our shop onto Tomsky. And if I'm turning, I almost ran 2 children over. That is what started this. Sorry, pisses me off. And then also the last meeting that Stratton had, that was my 4th question I asked, was the map was going to get turned over and the commissioners were going to look at it. So I didn't understand why Public Works is now having a meeting that I'm not allowed to attend. So as far as things pertaining to just their contract and that is what I wanted to bring up. This contract is for the encroachment area. This contract is with the commissioners. It is not with Public Works. And I feel that the commissioners need to be more transparent on what is going on with this, because in the past it hasn't been. Like I said, it was Alta and Fitzgerald and numerous things that have been found. I mean, you know, I realize everybody in the courthouse just has to have a conniption fit anytime the Beehners file a public records request. There's a reason we do it. This is where I found all of the emails and things where people are talking about stuff before a meeting, or they're talking about, or they have legal descriptions before a public hearing even takes place for what's going to be done. So we then turn around and we have to spend more than you guys have spent on surveys to defend our right to keep a road open to property that we ourselves and others have invested in, because we were getting railroaded from 2019 on. So that's where my frustration comes with the whole, for lack of a better word, you know, private meetings. Now, on my stuff, I did say, on my request, I did ask for his service contract and the encroachments. And so I would like to know if, because it ties into his map, if I am allowed to continue on. I checked with with Sydney last week, and she said that yes, the commissioners were aware of what I was coming for. So I
haven't seen, this is the first time I've seen the map.
It's a map that he had at the February meeting.
This is the same one?
Not that,
But this one here?
this one.
So he didn't finish anything yet?
that's what we're.
Is he gonna finish it, or what's is he finishing it, or what's what was the scope of his work that we're supposed to do?
I was told this is the finished map.
That's the map from February, right?
Correct, yeah.
Well, from later February, I believe, but
That was the map of that meeting.
And what Mr. Stratton had to say, was he gonna do any more work?
In the notes on the map that was at the February meeting, if you read the surveyor's notes at the heading, there's some indications within those notes of concerns he has as a surveyor in finalizing and approving the map. And I think that if you read through those notes, it will outline some of those concerns. I think those concerns may be a reason why your surveyor has essentially paused for the moment on doing anything further beyond the map that's been drafted.
so is that what was discussed at the meeting on the 12th?
What meeting on the 12th?
The meeting that the roads department was having, that you were invited to and Ben was invited to have with Stratton, that Jessica told me was going to be the week of the 4th, which was how, just in conversation, how I found that one out, and I requested to attend.
Meeting on the 12th, and I'm taking your date because I don't have the date in front of me. The meeting on the 12th contained information from my perspective that related to the surveyor's notes at the top of the draft survey that's been proposed And from my perspective, included conversations that I desired to have regarding those notes as it may impact legal implications for the county, which would be information that I, as the county's legal counsel, would not want subject to public disclosure.
Okay, I totally understand that part of it, but can you see it from my side? Why was your meeting not with the commissioners? They're the ones that are dealing with the encroachments and stuff, not Public Works. So, I mean, like I said, I'm just, personally, I've never said that we are suing or anything over any of this stuff. I've gone on, I think, more than enough time politely to continually, and like I said, the prosecuting attorney's office has been involved in this. I thought Ben was upright and forward with me clear last year when we met. And this just gets to where it's ridiculous.
So all we're doing, trying to do is find out that there was an original plot map, and people have gone in and they went off the plot map. So is it the county's, is it our stance that we go in and we change things and we replot it? Or did we spend $23,000? I don't understand how this is all working out.
I think you as the commission have the opportunity to review the records of what's been done by previous boards before you and identify whether or not you see additional work that needs to be done and how you want to take the work that has been done and utilize it for the county's benefit.
Okay.
Those decisions lie in your hands. At
Okay.
this point, I, as legal counsel, was invited to participate in a meeting that Public Works desired to have with the surveyor for them to help understand certain aspects that relate to their roles within the county. And as legal counsel, I had some of my own questions for the surveyor regarding things that may have legal implications. So I think each of us are really trying to fulfill our own roles in this. The Beehners are obviously frustrated because of the history and the time that this has gone on. When there's as much turnover within the county, I think it can exacerbate some of those frustrations. Certainly when you're trying to bring new people on board that may or may not have all of the information from their predecessor, it can lead to difficulties that surface throughout the process. As Minde correctly outlined for you guys, just stepping into the role is now the fourth Public Works Director that's been involved in this project. And certainly with every new Public Works Director that circles through as the county continues to have turnover in that position, and with every new board of county commissioner who meets, new individuals are in positions of authority to make decisions.
Okay.
When I met with Minde last summer, I had an opportunity to really field all of her concerns that she had at that point that were of primary interest. And those concerns were forwarded on to the past BOCC.
Okay.
From there, it's the BOCC that ultimately makes the decision. I don't have any authority on behalf of the county to make these types of decisions.
Mhm.
So those
They did make a
concerns were
decision.
relayed. And I think that there was communications that continued between Mr. Fitzgerald and then subsequently other commissioners and the surveyor. In the last communications that I think I have, just based on a quick search, not a thorough one, ended around November. And then that brought us into a new BOCC, which ultimately met again in February. And so now we've got a new BOCC, and you guys are attempting to pick up where the last one left off and figure out what you guys want to do with this.
Okay.
Well, just while you said the last communication is in November with the commissioner, very interesting, considering I have done and can show consecutive public records requests in timeframes from this point to today, from this last one to today, from this one to today. There's been I did a request for the previous commissioners and this commissioners, anything new. There was nothing, but it's interesting that the November communication or whatever is right about a month after this property sold to a new property owner. again, nobody's brought any of this information up.
And Fitzgerald wasn't commissioner.
Yeah. And so again, this adds to the frustration because I will totally agree with that, you know, like some people might not pass everything on and that. Again, my timeline, this was Jay, John, and Mike for 6 years. So I don't take Ben's excuse of, oh, we have turnover and this and that, you know, that's just an easy excuse to have. That, I mean, I know everything that I dealt with Keisha on the road stuff going back and forth, Ben was CC'd on, so he was aware. Again, I consider Ben probably more in knowledge than anybody else sitting in this room. You know, Stephanie handled filling public records requests, and I dealt with Jim a couple times. So it's not, I mean, to me, that it's just, that's a simple excuse of, oh, we've got a new board and we've got another new roads department supervisor, director, whatever. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
So, I mean, that's, like I said, I mean, I'm fine. You know, maybe if somebody had emailed back and said that, well, I mean, if somebody had emailed back and said, well, we're just meeting with legal to see what we can have our discussions. I won't say that I wouldn't have emailed back, because what I would have emailed back was, why is Public Works calling the legal in for stuff when the commissioners have not even spoke to legal about what's going on with this map? And that, again, the encroachments and stuff fall on your lap, and you ask advice to Public Works on what road things they need, and that, you know, we've been through all of this on what the roads are and up there, and that when they went through the vacate, that you know, that I know somebody was wondering about the vacate. I'm just gonna go into my encroachment stuff. You guys can read that if you want, but the survey was done in 1906. I didn't give you copies because I got them from here. So it's Tom She's Legal, where he gives the roads and alleys and everything. Because I believe that on that map, which I need that when I leave because that's my only copy.
I'm not good.
And you can get a lot of copies.
One of the things is I don't know what went on with the meeting. And so coming in here cold and not knowing what they said and everything else, even if I, you know, I'm a commissioner and I should know what was said, even if I can't tell the public. So that's one of the problems I have is I don't know what was said or anything. So
Part of this is timeline. I understand your frustration, but your frustration can't drive the whole process. We are trying to catch up. I have asked Public Works to come to us and give us a summary of that meeting next week so that we would know where we're going next. I have publicly stated that I think what we need to finally do is bring this to an end. I've mentioned this to Mr. Beehner the other day. I think we need to get Mr. Stratton's results, Public Works needs, the county's needs, the Beehner's needs, and all of the Beehner's neighbors' needs out in a public meeting. And so I've asked them to come and share with us what they got out of the last meeting. That was supposed to happen next week. We haven't done the agenda yet, though. So, and then at that point, I was going to recommend to you and the board that we schedule a public meeting or public meetings and get all the players in one room and try to sort this out and make a decision, and then let everybody move on, because it has been put off and put off. I think Mrs. Beehner has demonstrated that. I hear you asking through a lot of frustration and remarks that you're frustrated with the timeline on how long this has taken. I hear your frustration about transparency. The most transparent thing I can think of would be a public meeting where we could try to get Mr. Stratton's answers and all of the neighbors' concerns and see if we can't find the best answer that suits the most of the neighbors' needs as possible. So it's my fault that we haven't heard from them yet because we haven't done the agenda, and I asked them to come and present because I wasn't at the meeting either, so I haven't heard.
Yeah, but I didn't know that when I came in here, so that's, sorry about that. Yeah.
If you look at the last page of that packet that I just gave you, it's on the encroachments, because this, I mean, this is a process that has been started in that. I don't know, for some reason, the north side of F Street, while this vacate was going on and stuff, just for those that don't know, this gate here is the edge of our shop line up towards our properties. This is F Street, the north side of it. That would be the Burke Road side of Tomshy Avenue. That, the fencing, the basketball pole, the plants, the tree, the two sheds, the cylinder, concrete blocks, the wood fence or the wood poles that they were using as fencing. In October, well, it might have been the end of September, there was an executive session held about F Street. But apparently it was just the north side of F Street. And it was discussed, and Jim Kaysen was instructed to tell the Ludwigs to get their things off of F Street. So if you look through all of those, this is all the crap that was on F Street, had been there for years and stuff. And then this is what F Street looks like now. That's what an open street looks like. It's a very dramatic difference. But I mean, I can tell you what, if I was the Ludwigs, I'd be down here kicking and screaming and going, what the hey, you guys didn't have a survey, you didn't have anything, and you told us to get everything off of this road. And I mean, they did. They were out there tearing their stuff down in October of 2020 with pouring rain and this and that to get their stuff off the road.
They did have our survey.
Yeah, I mean, they had, because there is, well, you know, everything has to be done by Stratton and other people now. Our shop lot, again, has been surveyed, the points right off the edge by our pillar. And so you can very easily measure out, you know, 40 feet for it. So like I said, there's reasons to do it. And then in 2020 was when Chapman's petition to vacate F Street on the, what I'll call the south side, let's see,
In alley.
vacate the F Street and the alley. I'm trying to see what date that was on. See, public hearing on, okay, October 19th of 2020. So you're going into a public hearing to hear a petition to vacate that the county's paid for the exhibits for again. And you've now told somebody on the other side of F Street, you got to clear your stuff off of there. You're going to listen to a petition to vacate that starts out, it was attended by at the time, Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Ben Allen. It was proceeding until our attorney, when it was time for the opposition side, stood up and pointed out that the county was not following their own ordinances and stuff, so they were illegally conducting a hearing. They stopped the hearing. COVID happens, everything goes on. They end up doing the hearing again in spring of 21. Let's see. There we go. March 23rd of 21. I don't know if they're in the packet. There might be the actual findings of facts from that, because they did do the petition to vacate, which had originally been filed in like May of 18. So we then have planning and zoning sitting on a petition to vacate, helping people that wanted to vacate with like, hey, we'll just leave this and more or less leave it until it gets pushed to a point of having to do it. Because at the time, the planning and zoning director, you know, happens to be friends with the people that are turning in to do the vacate. So like I said, the reason I'm pointing these things out is at this point, there's so much stuff going on that unless I'm sitting in the room with you in that, I'm not going to believe you, because, well, I'm not going to believe some of you because of what's been done in the past. So they have the hearing. They go ahead and do it. It takes them, the commissioners, 3 meetings after the public hearing is closed, which once the public hearing is closed, you're done. You're as a judge, you've had the evidence presented to you. You're not supposed to go out and start snooping around and looking for other things.
Just leave it at that. It didn't stop there.
It didn't stop there. So it
Well,
kept,
what if we went ahead and let's get this on the calendar in 3 weeks? Is that enough time for you to, Dave, that we can?
Well, I
reach out to
haven't
the
heard
people?
what they learned at their last meeting, but once we
Let's
hear
do
that,
4 month, a month? Should we do a month?
I agree that we need a final,
Okay, so
Meeting.
let's go ahead and schedule another meeting for a month.
but
out
we're
from
gonna
now.
need some time to let all their neighbors know.
Would that be enough?
How long time would that take us?
and
to
I also
give
am
them-
going to interject
Hang on,
that,
just a second, just a
I
second.
think that we.
No, we
probably
got
need to
the
get with
wedding
Ben
and
and
I'm
just
gonna
make
be
sure
out of
that we
town.
follow-
I'm sorry.
I
I'm sorry.
think we need to get with Ben and make sure that we're following up the Idaho statute laws for, the radius and time frame for letting the neighbors know. So
That
I
would be
think
my
we should be
concern.
able to get time to get with Ben and
Month
use
and a half?
legal counsel to.
This isn't a public
Oh.
hearing. So that,
yeah,
the
it's
300
just a
feet
meeting.
doesn't
If,
count.
yeah, you're not,
You're not wanting. a
if you're-
public meeting?
if you're having
Public meeting.
a
and
meeting
public
to
hearing
hear
are
from
two
them
different
what
things.
went on, that's just a meeting.
Well, I am gonna want time to adequately inform all the neighbors, because I wonder if some of the new ones even know that they're encroaching. I would like to get all of them informed and get them all at the same meeting, so that we're hearing from everybody who has the Beaners have mentioned a significant financial investment at risk. I'm sure everybody up there has a significant financial. I would like to get everybody in the meeting and see if we can't find a solution to everybody's. I know the Beaners have mentioned this, and I'm still, as many times as I've heard it, I still need at some point, I need you to boil down for me a short list of what it is you are wanting or hoping for out of this. I heard Matt say the other day that the ability to run pipe is a concern.
Well, that's just narrowing down, that's just F Street. I mean, in the packet that I gave you, the county, again, I didn't give you a copy of ordinance 160 because you can get that yourself. But the county went through great lengths and expense to do a whole nuisance kind of ordinance and thing. And 2 weeks after they did it, which was in September of 19, I went down and I filed my list of encroachments. And, well, encroachment / nuisances. And they've been looked through, and the prosecuting attorney turned them over at the time to the commissioner saying they're encroachments, you guys take care of them. So I want wrap off the roads, the encroachments taken care of, that if it's a 40-foot road and that's what it's supposed to be, then the trees and stuff that people knowingly have planted along there and have narrowed everything down to where it makes it difficult to plow snow. I mean, I'm sure the one thing that the roads department and I probably will agree with is in 2020, when all that stuff had to get taken off of F Street, made plowing snow a lot easier. There's a spot to go put it as opposed to trying to push it against our retaining wall, or they used to push it into what was going to be the snow storage area until the people that wanted to vacate F Street decided they wanted the whole hog and not give the county anything. And there, it was fenced off. So then the county was pinned into the 40 feet. So clearing that side of F Street has definitely helped, but
So this is what, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but this is basically what you.
yeah,
what you-
those are the encroachments I filed in 2019. And then I redid them at Keisha's request in
And if you notice, you got me too.
point. Yeah, I was gonna say, the Beehner's shop property has encroachments onto Tobshe Avenue. I wasn't playing favorites. I listed the entire area the best I could. The stuff west of E Street is kind of scary down there. I wasn't going down and taking real good pictures for Keisha down there because I don't want to be eaten by a pit bull or shot. So, so anyway, yeah, if you're asking, I mean, this started with encroachments. It involved there's a petition to vacate. And so we had to go through that whole public hearing thing and defend it because that F Street that they wanted to vacate and denied is where the water line should go through. And that pertains to getting water line back to those properties. We've already had one person that wanted to buy property back there off of us if we could get the water line through. They're done waiting. They've now moved on and they're doing their own shop elsewhere. So
And at the last meeting, 10-foot easement was being put out there for this water line
by planning and zoning.
by planning and zoning. This is a main water line. This isn't a 1-inch pipe. I gotta put in a main, 4 or 6-inch main. 2 years ago, was it, or 3 years ago, it was $17,000 off the quotes that, East Shoshone Water District, what they paid for per foot. I guarantee you it's at least doubled, if not tripled now for me to put this water line in. 10-foot right easement doesn't do nothing for me. It's a waste of time. I'm not going through somebody's yard and having to remediate it afterwards. Gravel's a lot cheaper than topsoil. County roads are put in for utilities to use for or to put utilities through. Easement is worthless to me. And like, as I said, this isn't a little mini hoe digging it out. This is the old Wallace City landfill. Who knows what I could get into? Could get into an old car that goes into the guy's property, and then when I dig it up, I'm remediating his yard. I'm not doing that.
So what street is, or were you?
F Street is the cheapest way, straight from,
Water line.
where the water line comes in from Burke Road. I'll leave, did I get a second?
I just say when you guys are looking, and I'm not gonna feel bad about having this asked, when you're looking at a meeting and if it's gonna be a meeting or I mean, I don't think it has to be a hearing when you first just meet with the neighbors or whatever you've got planned. I'm respectfully requesting that, we have like the first full week in August is tied up with a wedding that's been being planned for over a year. I will be leaving town at the end of August to deal with wedding stuff in Texas till like from the 30th of August to the 20th of September. So I'm going to respectfully request that you try to work a little bit around that, because I've been trying to do this for 7 years now.
We can do that.
8 years, excuse me.
Well, we're gonna try and be fair, and so I think planning far enough out, which is why I'm not saying we can do this in a month, but I definitely would like to set a date and get everybody in the room and see if there's a solution. It's my opinion at some point that some of these issues are county and some of these are not county issues, that I don't know that we can solve everything I've heard, but it would be nice for you if we could get some kind of closure on it. I don't know how we can plan a month out and miss all of her dates, but
Well, we can go further out.
I can tell you my exact dates, like I said.
yeah, and I don't want to be partial, so I'm not want to plan this around your schedule either, but if we plan far enough out, maybe that way we can give you ample opportunity to schedule for it. And I understand planning something in the first week of August would be too short a notice for you or the neighbors. So I'm concerned about being fair. I'm concerned about getting to an answer. You've brought up a whole lot of stuff that other people have done. I think what we're offering is, at least you wanted a public meeting to discuss all this. I'm hoping this would give you what you're after. Public Works, do you have anything you'd like to answer or say today?
I don't think so. I would just like to communicate that I truly believe that everyone involved in this situation is looking toward a solution. They're looking toward a finish line. Working at the county level with multiple different departments, with multiple different laws and rules, and when you speak with the county attorney, what can be disclosed to the public and what cannot, might sometimes seem like it is the resistance to answer or communicate. My reason, Jeff, for not reaching out to you after that last meeting that our department had with Minde is that I really didn't want to muddy the lines of approaching each commissioner individually before something was brought to a public meeting. And so, the reverse side of, working up to code and, up to regulation sometimes does slow the process down. Our department truly does not intend to roadblock or get in the way of, this resolution that's going to happen, the end of the road that's gonna happen up there. The Beehners have had a long road with this, and I truly do sympathize, Mindy, and Matt have spent a lot of time and they spent a lot of money, working on this process throughout the different multiple department heads, the different boards, the different prosecuting attorneys, and I can only imagine how frustrated they are being 2023 and still working through the process. So, our department will do whatever's necessary to work with the board and the prosecuting attorney and the public to get where we need to be to find an end result for this, and close the door on this.
Okay, so we'll need to do an executive session, I believe, right?
I was gonna ask the prosecutor if that was what we needed to do or not, but we need a report on
Yes.
what this last thing, so I'll get with the prosecutor and Public Works and figure out if that can be a public meeting or if it needs to be executive session. My goal is to put that on the agenda next week. I think is what we've talked about. But
when you're talking about it, just remember that this, like I said, it's kind of a two-tier thing with the the road vacate thingy and that versus the encroachments. These are encroachments that the county's been aware of since October of 2019. And there is code about what public nuisance is, what encroachments are on county roads. And just by the map that he's provided you so far, you are more than aware that there are encroachments on the property and you guys have requirements to take care of it. So by Idaho code.
Which goes on into the Idaho road law handbook.
Yep.
I'm finishing up. We'll let Mindy do all the talking. On the walkthrough, HMH was told to do a road safety report. Never got done. I believe I know why, because they couldn't and make it look right to leave everything. And Keisha took over the surveys because the encroachments would come in front of the board. And she was supposed to deal with the surveyor, which that only happened a little bit. Then the
Just
county commissioners took care of it again. Fitzgerald stated in the meeting that the survey would encompass from East Street up, which wasn't done on the map. Who knows when that was changed, why it was changed, but that was said in a meeting. Mindy and me are the only ones that have been involved in this the whole time. No one else has. No one. Keisha was dealing with it. I don't think Ben had anything to do with it. But Keisha, there was a separation there. Also, on dealing with these encroachments, making deal with property owners up there. I don't see getting you any place except for in more trouble, because the next person that buys my property, buys Tom Sheet or Ludwig's property or the new guy's property, they can go back through this just because you got to follow the law. You can't just say, we're going to make a deal. That doesn't happen. It can keep coming. The last thing was Mindy did bring up the telephone pole that is actually about between 10 and 12 feet onto the county property. And before the
intersection.
or it's in the intersection. I did have a discussion with the past county commissioners, which was Yergler, Best, and Stanley. Yergler and Best came out and said, yes, that pole needs to be moved. Actually, something I didn't say anything about. Yergler looked down, seen the mailboxes on the road too, and he said those need to be moved too. Well, it wasn't done in a public meeting, so there's no record of it. So when
New people come in.
So we had power lines around our shop. They had no easement. The old CUC electricity put it in without surveying anything. We gave them an easement as long as they went underground. I came down and talked to Frosty about getting rid of the pole and going underground. He was all for it. And, it never happened. This is when the new commissioners came in, Huber and Fitzgerald and Stanley. Never happened. I talked to the water power woman. The water power woman said, yeah, Frosty and, Berlitz told us, oh, it's not in our way. Don't worry about moving the pole. Then come to find out, the rumor I got is that the reason they'd have to move it was because it was hooked up illegally to the guy's garage that's on F Street. And, if they moved the pole, they wouldn't rehook up the garage and it would cost the homeowner $4,000 to fix it, so it would meet code. So that's why I believe the pole didn't get moved. And last but not least, this is only part of the story. I'm not gonna put it all out here now. The stuff that they've done in the past is 100% was against us, 100%. And I think I can show that. Just to let you know that
Just needs to get done
it's
and done right.
$17,000 out of my pocket, extra at least, to run the line down Topsy Avenue over to our property for a garage. It has a valuation of $8,000. No, that's not gonna happen. And they've never paid taxes underneath the quarter acre of property in all these years. That's free property the county's letting them use. The only thing they pay taxes on is the building.
Can you show me where you would like to run the pipe? Because I'm still confused on F Street on how you get past that corner.
This is 18 inches. The line is 18 inches right here. I've talked to a boring company, which I have the emails, and he says he can bore underneath there and be right on your property and come out on this other side. Guy from Raptor.
Thank you.
We also, to give you the knowledge, we offered it is to change F Street to, I believe, this is our retaining wall. We've offered to move F Street up to here and go down from here. HMH actually drew a map of it at 50-foot wide because
The county paid for.
the 50-foot wide because it's a new road. The people won't go for it, so I've spent all this money just trying to defend this. I'm not going for it either.
Who didn't go for it?
The county,
Chapman's.
the homeowners.
Okay.
And for your knowledge, I believe the new homeowners probably knew what they were getting into because that would have had to been disclosed to them. And it was on their title report. I honestly believe there was some stuff going on there and they were assured it wasn't don't worry about it. But that's just my opinion.
Okay. All right, Mr. Prosecutor, do you have anything else to add?
Sir.
Mr. Commissioner, anything else?
Nope. Last thing, can I say one last thing?
Last,
Then I'm done.
this is your last thing.
Then I'm done. Don't forget that, Topsy Avenue gets federal money from the SRS funds. And, I believe you probably have to follow federal stuff on the road. On what can be there and what can't. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Sorry for your many years of frustration. All right, this meeting is adjourned.